In problem number 15, it's a proof, so it looks really scary, but you don't need to be worried about it too much. This is a fill-in-the-blank proof, and all you have to do is determine what's the reason for this blank. So what we need to do to determine this reason is to see what it's talking about over here in the statements column. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace those two angles and then see what their relationship is. We want to know why they're congruent. So when I trace these two angles, MOL is this angle right here, and NOP is this angle. Now you may recall that if you have angles that are formed by two lines crossing and they're opposite each other, where those two lines cross, they're called vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent. So for our reason here, we can say vertical angles are congruent. Which is also known as the vertical angles theorem. In number 16, it's asking us to find the x value for a point of intersection for the system. Now, you can solve systems by substitution, elimination, or graphing if they're linear, but this one's not linear. This one has a quadratic equation and it also has a linear equation. Remember, quadratic equations are parabolas and linear equations are lines. So these could cross twice, 2 points of intersection. They could cross once at the vertex, or they could cross never. In order to determine which one that is, you can graph it on your graphing calculator and see where they cross, or like I mentioned, you can use substitution. So I'm going to write down the yellow equation and substitute the green equation in place of y. So I'm going to say 4 minus x equals x squared minus x. Then I'm going to solve this equation. To solve a quadratic equation, you have to have a 0 on one side. So I'm going to subtract the 4, and I'm going to add the x. So minus 4 and plus x. So these are going to cancel out. These are going to cancel out, giving me 0 equals x squared. These cancel out, minus 4. So now to finish solving, I just ask myself what multiplies to give me negative 4, but adds to give me nothing. We've got a 0 in the middle there. It's called a difference of squares. Negative 2 times positive 2 gives me negative 4, and also adds together to give me 0. So those are my two factors. Now to get my solutions, I just set one factor equal to 0 and the other factor equal to 0. So I'm going to say x minus 2 equals 0, which means x would equal positive 2, and x plus 2 equals 0, which means that x would equal negative 2.